The second transposition mode is a range where you can just choose a range of transposition, and it will transpose anywhere within that range, and you can increase the size of the limits of that range if you want to. Whatever. And obviously you can reset that to 0 in both cases, or reset to middle C. You've got a detune function as well. So that's the main transposition bit, and then down here you've got a glide envelope, so you can transpose through time. So if I turn that on, you've got two modes for that. You've got relative length and fixed length. So relative length brings up an edit button, and you can change the using a function, breakpoint function editor, you can change how that will transpose through time. You've got 8 potential shapes that you can make, and if for how many you've got, it will choose between them at random. For the moment I'll just stick with the one, I think. So hopefully that's pretty obvious. Okay, so that one will do it at relative length, so it will follow that shape throughout the entire file, and then a fixed length one, you can specify a time over which it will happen, so that's 1 second. Oops. Okay, so that did the transposition over 1 second. And then you've got a very similar engine for amplitude envelope as well. So this one will obviously do an envelope over time. Actually, what I could do here is make it a very short envelope. Again, I think makes it reasonably clear how that can be used to kind of generate small fragmentary material, perhaps in a performative way. But for the time being, I'll turn off the amplitude envelope. Then back to the main scrub screen bit, you've got 3 other modes, which whereas tiles will choose a sample based on the tile that you click, so that this tile here will always choose the same sound. Random drunken count, they show a grid on there, but that's really just because that's for kind of resolution. So if I click in this square here, it will trigger one sound, but I won't trigger another sound until I hit another square, but that will be, whatever is chosen will be chosen at random. It will tell you again what's being chosen down here. You can choose a range of the sounds that you've imported to be triggered at random, and you can also choose how many of those will be triggered, so you could have more than one sound being triggered at once when you click the screen. In terms of this grid, you can make it more or less coarse or fine, and at pixel level you lose the grid altogether, and every single pixel will trigger a sound, or again, if you've got hits on more than one, it will trigger more than that. One thing I haven't said is that there's the voices thing over here. At the moment there are 25 players, so 25 sounds can happen at once. If you want more than that, you can choose more depending on the speed of your CPU, and if I choose 100, then that should mean that I have the tails of the sounds should remain. Etc. If I'm on drunk, well, random drunken count, pretty obvious what they do. In terms of count, that might be useful if you've got a specified series of sounds that you want to happen in order. in particular when we come to using the step sequencer, which I'll show you in a minute. But you'll get appropriate controls for both of those when you click on them. So yeah, turning to the step sequencer, I'll get rid of this for the time being, and maybe turn off the glide envelope. Actually, this isn't the best series of sounds for showing this because they're quite long. So maybe if I make a new Clatter unit, and I can drag in another set of sounds which aren't great, but they'll show you basically what this does because they're more percussive. So load those samples and go to the scrub screen again. So these ones are, so yeah, somewhat distorted and not very nice, but you get the idea. If I go to random, once again, if I want to have more of those sounds going on at once, they happen to be kind of pentatonic, so they'll work quite well together. So if I have 4, say, at the same time, and I choose a pixel input,